Hey everybody, Professor Stines here, and this video is kind of going to be about website maps and kind of XML and .NET, and it's going to be kind of a lot about a lot of things. Kind of applies to a lot of different classes. Kind of talking about, I'm going to kind of show an example of web tutorials. I'm trying to build this site up a little bit, and I got the A to Z index page working out pretty well, and I got the left-hand menu structure working out pretty well. I can kind of jump back and forth, up and down through the menus. I actually got three different menus, not really sure which one I like best at this point. I think I like the top one the best. I like the little drop downs. I think that's a good little touch to kind of help navigate through different books and different pages. I think that's kind of neat. We also have Google Search up here at the top, and that's kind of what this video starts off about. Is we're talking about site index page. Uh, Being a large website, it can be kind of hard to manage all the pages that exist. So one of the benefits of kind of how all this is working, including the drop downs, the left-hand menu, A to Z index page, title tags in the browser bar, meta description information, all that kind of stuff is all sort of uh, in what's called a web sitemap file in .NET. Uh, what it is, though, and this is it, is that it's an XML file. What XML is XML is kind of similar to HTML. It's just kind of a way of marking up information. It uses kind of an HTML format, an HTML nesting structure. So kind of the root node that's up here is the sitemap file, kind of defines what it is. There's a sap, and then inside of that there's sitemap nodes. So this is the home page, and every other page is kind of underneath the home page. We got the About folder with 2 pages inside of it. Then we have the HTML book, and then the start of the Chapter 1 HTML book. There's not a lot of space in these little indentations between them, but that's kind of how the structure is organized. Get down to About, it's kind of the end of the HTML chapter, the beginning of the JavaScript book. So JavaScript, and then Chapter 1 inside of that. All the pages for Chapter 1 inside of that. That's essentially what XML is. Not going to go too much into the menu. What I want to accomplish today is I want to get this guy registered with Google Search, and to do that, I'm in my Google Webmaster Tools, which if you have a Google account, you can just kind of Google for that. It's kind of its own deal in Search Console. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've already defined IT Web Tutorials as ours. I've went through the little setup process and verified our site as well. And to do that, I kind of had to add a verification link in the template. And so that's kind of Google site verification for us. I've already done that. I'm kind of working on doing some other things, but today we're looking in the crawl section for sitemaps down here. What this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to input an XML file that kind of contains all of our links. Now it's going to kind of presume that it's on my website, and I'm going to hope to call this probably sitemap.xml. Currently we don't have a page like that, so I kind of want to implement this page, make it send back some XML. That way we can add it here. I spent a lot of time looking at Google Webmaster and Google Forms, and this is kind of a little, probably could find it with some good Googling for Google. As this is kind of the structure that we need to kind of create in order for our XML file to work. So if I'm looking at the right here, this is kind of the standard Sitemap Protocol, and let's kind of take a look at it and see what it's about. I'm also going to kind of open up our sitemap again and kind of look at it. So our structure is going to be pretty similar to their structure. Is that well, sort of, kind of, but not really. Where we have sitemap node, we're going to want to use URL set. And that's going to kind of contain all of the URLs that exist. Inside the URL set, we're going to kind of create these URL tags as well. And we're just going to provide them as kind of a long list. Here's a kind of an example of doing that, is that we're going to create a URL set and create multiple URL tags inside, each with a kind of a location tag on it, and probably like a last mod date or something. And so this way we can kind of auto sync our web sitemap file to Google. And so when I finally do decide to come in and write all of the meta description tags for the different pages, we'll have one place to do it in, and it'll kind of like automatically sync to Google and do some all kinds of other magical, crazy, automagical stuff. So anyway, to get started with that, I'm going to kind of start with this example, how to create a synchronous HTTP handler in .NET. And what this guy's going to do is allow us to kind of create a request that will make this link work. Not really within the confines of what's going on here, but we'll see what we can do. So let's start by going to the app code folder, and we're going to be creating a new class here. I'm going to call it my sitemap, and click OK. So there's not a whole lot that's in it right now, just kind of the basic classes, but I'm going to go ahead and throw in an imports for system.xml, because we're probably definitely going to need it, and then maybe system.io too. I'll kind of make some of the code a little shorter. Might have to add one or two more. We'll see. So, looking at the tutorial, first thing we need to do is kind of implement the handler. And when we do this, it's going to kind of create a HTTP handler. And it's going to kind of auto-create some code for us. The reusable property is going to let us know whether or not we need to keep it on all the time, or if we can just let it run once. So is reusable, we're just going to say every time it gets called, it should be run. So we're going to say return false. That means every request it'll be kind of built new. And process request, this is where we're going to be writing out whatever we want to the page. So kind of moving that one up to the top so it's a little easier to see, kind of like in the thing here. Basically, we want to take the context and kind of make a response and throw some stuff back on the page. So we're going to kind of just start by copying what's here and paste it. That way we can make sure that it works the way we want it to. So I scroll down a little bit after we got the test code in there. We're looking at configuration files. It's kind of telling us we're going to have to register this guy so that we can call it. So to do that, we need to kind of open up our web config file. And there's kind of two sections that it's talking about. It's talking about the system web and the system web server. I'm going to take a look at them. We're going to need to make an HTTP handler kind of pointing to where we want it to go, and we want to make a regular handler in system web server that kind of does about the same thing. So let's start in system web server. It's kind of the newer way. Let's go with handlers, add, name is my sitemap. Yeah, my sitemap. And, what am I looking at? Just kind of need name and path, I guess. Look at what verb is a get, and the important part, the path, what we want it to be, is sitemap.xml. So let's save it and see how bad we broke stuff. Start without debugging. Didn't break the site itself. That's a good first start. Always a good first start when you don't break the site itself. So let's see what happens when we do sitemap.xml now. Oh, I don't think we removed something. Let's take another look. My sitemap. Did we miss anything on there? Let's go ahead and put the HTTP handlers in there just in case. And call it my sitemap. First get. Could do the star, I guess. Path is sitemap.xml. That must be what we're missing. Probably utterly destroyed it this time. No, that didn't work. But the website itself is still working. Oh, I think I'm looking in the wrong spot. We should be doing IIS7. Oh, they're both IIS7. Type in the first one, name in the second one. My sitemap, verb. Let's change that to star. Boy, it did not like that at all, did it? Get? Pretty sure they were gets. Alright now. Why are you acting so funky? I did not like this section. We were kind of doing something before. Got the page back. Well, okay. That was weird. Maybe I needed to rebuild the solution. Maybe that's what did it. That's probably what did it. Let's hope that's what did it. Let's go back and check this site out a little bit. Make sure no other craziness has happened. Alright, so what if I'm way down here and I type in sitemap.xml? That seems okay. So only on the root, which is what we need. Alright, so let's go back and look at our control. Nope. Wrong one. Alright, my sitemap. So, Let's make sure that we can just kind of change it and hit refresh and stuff changes. Alright, so let us see. We want it to kind of start off. Yeah, let's start off by kind of defining a variable for us up at the top. This is going to be a kind of a private one. We're going to call it XML Writer. As a let's call it my write. My write is XML Writer. That guy's going to write out our XML for us. The first thing we need to do is we need to take the context, the HTTP context that's being passed in, and we want to kind of change the response type to be a different content type. And what we're going to be setting it to is, it's kind of like a text HTML right now. And kind of look at, kind of inspect it and look at the network tab. Looking for information about the request. Usually get to it from network tab, I thought. I think I might have something inserting into my page. Alright, so sitemap.xml 200 OK should give us a text HTML content type, charset UTF-8. So first thing we want to do is we want to change that from text HTML to text XML. Hit refresh. It is an XML file. The browser's kind of treating it a little bit differently now, so that's a good thing. Didn't put charset UTF-8 on it, so but I think that's probably okay. We could probably change it in context.response. Car encoding, charset UTF-8. Yep. Okay, so we're getting there. Got an XML file now. Got an XML file now. We set the car encoding to UTF-8. Let's deal with our little XML writer object that was up there at the top. We're going to kind of start by putting some settings together for it. That's dim settings is new XML writer settings. And we're also going to kind of set the encoding inside of here as well, just to kind of make sure that we're kind of matching up where we need to match up at. So kind of set it to UTF-8. We could also set indentation to exist, which is a pretty good idea, I think. Now that we got the settings, let's work with that private variable at the top, my write, and we're going to my write is equal to XML writer create. We're putting in the context stream that we've got here, context stream, response, the output stream, and we're going to be throwing our settings at it. I kind of could look at the different options in create statement, I think, and kind of figure out what it's doing and look that up too. But now that we have an XML writer and it's kind of ready to go, we don't have any content in the page yet, so let's kind of start by writing something. It'll be my write start document. And since XML kind of has an opening and closing tags, we're also going to go write end document. I'm probably not going to have anything happen yet, but once we kind of write the end document, we're going to flush it out to the page. And so that'd be my write.flush. Write the end and flush. And this is create the writer. And these are some settings for the writer. Alright, let's see. We wrote the beginning document, wrote the end document. Well, let's just see what we get out of the page now. Probably nothing, still. It's probably a more official document. What did I do? I clicked something I wasn't supposed to. I must hit the back button. Oh, I guess whatever I did not make it happy. Let's see. Let me go into config and turn off 500 errors. Let's go with detailed and off. I probably don't want to have these settings turned on in a production environment, so before I publish them out, hopefully I'll remember to turn them back on. Let's see what happens. It's not a very helpful error, unless I just kind of crashed IIS altogether. Let's build this guy, and then start it up again. When you start dealing with code behind files, it's kind of always good to make sure you always kind of restart them. Let's see, start without debugging. Alright, so the page works. It just does not like my code. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. And we write the start document, write the end document, and we flush it out. Do we need to clear the response or something? Let's take out these two and see what happens. Well, at least it's still coming back as XML. Alright, hold on. Another time I think. Creating the response. It's not the flush that's doing it. I do want to write begin document. That. I want to write the start. Yeah, let's do them both together. Alright, write start document. My write end document. Let's go ahead and try to throw in an element too. Maybe that's what's making it freak out. There's no elements in the document. So we're going to be write a start element. And we'll call that one URL set. There's a couple overloads there. So we could kind of add a value or something. Let's just throw a blank string at it for the moment. And let's write the end element for that one. Let's save it and see if it doesn't freak out this time. Hey, look, there we go. URL set. I guess without having them, it totally just freaked out. I was trying to kind of keep it a little simple. Maybe I should write more than one at once. Okay, so let's put that. Let's put those back in. Let's take a quick look back at this sheet. Now we're going to want to set inside URL. We're going to want to set an attribute here, and this is what the attribute is going to be equal to. So let's copy that out and take a look at it. Let's stick it in here for now so we can check out what it means. So kind of setting that guy. So it's looking good so far. Encoding looks good, version number looks good. Now we just kind of need to go through and create URL nodes inside of the URL set. Hopefully I can speed this up and get a sip of water. Okay, so we got our basic one. It starts here, ends here. In the middle is where we want to go through all of the nodes in the sitemap and write out a URL node for each one of those. So to do that, that would be a kind of a for each method. And we could say for each node as sitemap node and sitemap.root node.get all nodes. So we're looking at the sitemap root node, we're getting all the nodes, and we're going to loop through those, calling each one of those a node. Let's call that a node. So for each one of those, we want to create a node thing. So that would be a my write my write start element. Let's just jump ahead a little bit. I kind of already got it worked out. So we're going to call a function instead, or a sub. Let's call it sub. Private sub add URL. Adding a function, a sitemap node. We're going to be returning, not returning anything. One of the things that we're going to want to return is if, one of the things we want to check for is if string is empty or null. So is null or empty. And we're looking at a node, pulling that URL attribute off of it. So if it's that, I want to take it back home and turn false, or just return rather. we didn't specify a return statement. We just kind of want to end our add URL function there, or subroutine there. So if it's not null or empty, then we can kind of do something to it. So let's do our XML writer. This is why or my write, which is an XML writer. That's why we have it defined as a private variable, because we've kind of instantiated it inside the process request. So now we can kind of use it in other functions as needed. So my write, or start with a write start element, and that one's going to be a URL. And let's go ahead and write the end element for it. Write end element. And remember, you kind of keep track of where your own things are. Let's look back at what the Sitemap looks like. We want to put a location. So inside URL, there's going to be a lock. So to do that, we're going to write the start element. Start element. I don't know why it's not. My fingers are just not wanting to do it. And that's a lock. And we're going to want to close that one too. Write end element. And then between the two, we want to write out the location of the sitemap URL. So to do that, that would be my write dot write string, and that's going to be a nodes.url. So probably should leave some spaces there. All right, let's take a look. Take it for a drive, see what happens. Nothing. Let's do a rebuild. Make sure our handler is getting recompiled. Validation complete. Oh, still nothing? Because we didn't actually do anything in my node. Okay, so we wrote the function, or the subroutine. Subroutine is going to write in each location for each node. Now we just kind of need to call that guy when that happens. So let's add URL, passing in my node. Yeah, maybe we'll get a little something better out of it this time. Neat. So we got a URL set, we got a URL tags. Looks good. Let's compare it to this one. That's URL tags. Cool. Let's see if we can't pull the file system date off of there and throw it into. I just saw it. I'm looking for last mod date. So I'm looking back at my code. Let's see. Right location. Right last mod. That's writing the start element. Last mod. And that's writing the end element for it. And URL. And then in between, my write string is going to be the This is probably not so straightforward. We're going to be wanting to get the last modified date of the file. Now, to get the last modified date of the file, we have to look it up in the on the file system to actually get the file itself and look at the last mod write time. This is kind of when students are like, hey, but the last time I wrote this, my homework says the last time I wrote this was whatever, and it's like, well, that's not really, if you can change the last mod date, which you really can. So we're going to be passing in a URL and kind of returning a string as well. What we're passing into last mod, this can be get last mod, and it's going to be a node's URL. That is a string. And so we're going to be passing that string in as a string. Missing function there. Looks like it's not auto doing its thing. There we go. Private function get last mod, getting the URL string from the URL. We're going to kind of try to do something here, and that is to find our current context of where we're at. So we'll call that cont. That's HTTP context. Let's kind of find out where we're running in the server, what we're kind of doing in the server, and that's going to kind of help me here. And so we're going to try to find a path, and the path is going to be the this context, this cont, and the server, and we're going to map a path, and the map path is going to be what we passed in, a URL. So now that we have a string that represents the path, which is kind of a string, we could really just kind of let's throw a return. It's probably going to be if it couldn't be found or something. And let's just return path and get a look at what it looks like. Haven't checked our code in a while. So I've got a location, got a last mod. Last mod is pointing to the full system path on my computer, which probably would have been really easy to just kind of copy and paste up to about like right here, right? But doing it this way, we can be sure that no matter what machine we move it to, it should work. The path should always be kind of automatically found. So let's pull up a time, and a time is going to be equal to a string, and we're going to be looking for file dot get last mod write time, or get last write time. Yeah. UTC.to string, and let's push a format at it. It's 4 digits for the year, 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day. And let's pass a time back. If only we could turn back time. Haha. Stupid. Alright, hit refresh. Hopefully now our date is completely screwed, and 500 error galore is not like in get last write time, path as date. It probably doesn't like my date format string. Oh, we're passing path in a string. That's what we're doing. File dot get last write time. Path as string is path. There we go. I'm looking at the auto suggest, like, why isn't it working? Okay, so we're getting the last write time of the path, which is the file pointing to the thing, and we'll throw that to a get string, which is going to give us a little bit of a formatting deal. And we want kind of a 4-digit. We want this ISO 8601 format. So that is that. And returning a time. Let's see if my joke works out better this time. Cool. So, kind of see some pages were changed. Oh, that's not right. 1601. Let's take UTC off. I think it might be, that can't be right. Oh, now they're all 1600. Let's just throw the whole thing out there and let's see what we're getting back. We're getting back true dates, or we're just having conversion problems. Oh, I know why, because these pages don't exist. Duh. We're getting back NA. That's what we're getting back. No, that's what we should be getting back. We should be failing trying to map a path back to the file. That's where we should be breaking. Right here. I guess maybe it's trying to automatically convert it. Let's look at some of the pages I already have made. I got a PHP chapter 1 page. It's in here somewhere. PHP chapter 1. Okay, first of all, this might be a problem. PHP chapter 11, PHP chapter 1. Wait, or is that just because chapter 1 comes first? I'm so confuzzled. Chapter 10, chapter 9. Still in PHP. It's chapter 1. I'm pretty sure that page exists. Web development environments exists. That would be way down here. Right? No. Web development environments has a date. Other ones don't have a date. Okay, so it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here. How are you? Let's see. Let's take a copy of that real quick and go back to Sitemap. And I think this guy had a little validator on it or something like that. Let's see, Sitemap Validator. I'm sure there's an online one that does it pretty well. Google Sitemap Validator. Oh, but I want to copy and paste it. I copied it, did I not get a space? That's weird. Just tell me I don't have a space on the first line. No. Yeah, this one does not look that great. Let's just go throw it in XML and see. Did I copy something out by mistake? I think I did. Let's see. Maybe it's just Google being weird. URL set. Not always easy to pick out either. Big long file. Actually, it looks okay. This guy isn't throwing any errors at us. Contains unsolvable namespaces. That's not good. Wait, different one. Let's rebuild this thing. The struggle is real, people. Sometimes I wonder if I should edit my videos better, but I think if you endure the struggle with me sometimes, you can just fast forward a little bit until something looks like it works better. Let's see. Let's go to sitemap.xml. Let's try to parse it. I'm still kind of saying that there's a problem with it. I wonder if we have some characters that maybe need to be escaped or something like that. No, I don't want a generator, I want a checker. Well, I guess technically it is working. Let's see what Google has to say about it. So, let me remote into the server real quick while we kind of throw in some. That's not the server. Let's see. Let me remote into the server real quick. Let's see what we can do. I'm on my home PC working off my home computer, which is the local host file. And it doesn't look like I've broken it doesn't look like I've broken the website. Different local host. Different local host. Let's see. Yeah, I think the website's working pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and push what I have out to the server through Git. And to do that, that's Team Explorer. And it's kind of telling me I don't have any outgoing changes yet. I go to Changes. We're pushing a sitemap file. XML for Google Analytics. And we're going to commit and sync that. So it'll do all my magic for me. It's not actually on the server yet. This is the server. Let me see if I can try to get this guy somewhat in my recording window. So I'm kind of out here on the server. I just kind of need to pull up my shell. Change to the web tutorials folder. Make sure I type it right. CD web tutorials. That's a Git pull. We're going to pull down our files from Git. Kind of see some stuff happen. So let's see how bad we broke the real server, huh? And that's itweb. itwebtutorials.mga.edu. What's that message back there? Well, I don't worry about that right now. So, let's see. Looks like I didn't break the website. That's always a good sign. And let's go to /sitemap.xml. Should be out there this time. And it looks like it's picking up all the pages. That's good. That's good. So let's take our link out to the Google Code thing. How do we get back to our page? There it is, Search Console. Put some of this junk down. And let's check it out. I don't think I wanted to do the test first. Let's test it. Test complete. View test results. 1 errors. Oh, it said it didn't find it. Oh, I had an extra slash on the front, it looks like. It's oh, because I did it again. Silly me. We're just looking for sitemap.xml. I'm trying to put the whole URL on it, not the thing. How is that not a valid URL? It totally works for me. Okay, hold on. First it said it wasn't working, then it says it doesn't. Oh, I know what it's saying. It counted 233 broken links because, oh man, supposed to be passing in the full URL to the front. Oh, good times, good times. All right, so, geez, that's not too bad. That's HTTP, IT web tutorials. Probably a real hackish way of doing it, but it's going to work. HTTP IT web tutorials .mga.edu. So, plus that. Well, these guys are getting the slash on them, right? Yeah, they have the slash, so I just kind of need to add the domain to the front. Golly, man, I'll tell you what. IT web tutorials MGA. Okay, that'll work a little bit better. So let's go back into changes. I'm dumb. Need domain on site index. And commit and sync that. That's cool. You pull the server back up again. Not worried about updates. Just need to run another git statement to pull down the simple change. There we go. Back to the real server, the real McCoy. Let's see. Oh, did I not do it right? It looks like a valid link to me. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like a real deal. It's a real boy. Let's see. Let's go back. Just delete that guy. Actually, it looked like it might have made it. Alright, try it one more time. Sitemap.test. Hey, if you made it this far in my video, I'm really impressed. Let's see, test. Let's see the results. Tag last mod. Don't tell me I didn't write something right. Let's take a look at the errors and see. Oh, not pushing the right format. Well, I knew it was because it wanted that FYI. Had it there for a second and then went and renamed it. So that's a toString. Let's put that date format back in there. Date A. Yeah, value is off. It's kind of weird. It's showing it as one error, but it's really like the 233 times it encountered it. Let's see if let's close the test down. Let's just go ahead and add it. Well, let's test it one more time. Still didn't like it. Oh, because saved it here. We got to push it back up. Sometimes Git can be so confusing. Let's see, changes. Date format. Dumb. Commit and sync. And throw back at our server. It's probably done by now. Git pull. Yeah, looks good. Back to WebAssembly. Close the test. Sitemap.xml. Invalidates. I'm going to guess because we went from 222. Yeah, that's definitely it. Wrong dates. I tell you what though, it is working. So let's just go ahead and add this sucker. And just assume that as we make more pages, we will make more fixes. So, yeah, less errors this time. At least it's the one error of having the wrong date format. It's better than having the 222 though, because then at least some of them are in the right format. Kudos to Google for knowing that this would be not a valid time that a website was created. You know what I mean? Let's see. Well, I think we're good to go. So that kind of solves the context of the assignment, or not even the assignment, just kind of the video of recording me doing stuff. A little bit of Git in there, some working in XML, some working in other languages. So pretty neat. Probably going to make another video for JavaScript and stuff, but this video will make it out there somewhere. And if you got questions, feel free to post in your class's discussion. Have a good one. Bye.